You know, we here at MRC TV often try to report stories about politics and current events with a bit of a sense of humor. But in this case, we have to give you this story with a heavy heart. It comes from Caracas, Venezuela, via Breitbart's Ben Ku and Carlos Camacho, who reports for the Latin American Herald Tribune. It's a story about, unfortunately, the collapse of the Venezuelan economy, now really revealing itself within the health system. On April 20th, a number of desperate and desperately sick people appeared at the Caracas Ministry of Health to protest the fact that they were not receiving the medicine that they needed to stay alive. And they were met by armed police officers, and they were assaulted by them. In fact, this is very, very sad because this comes on the heels of all kinds of reports for years about the collapse of the Venezuelan economy, a country which is rich in natural resources, but unfortunately has been hampered and sidelined by collectivism. These are people who are lacking essential medical care to stay alive. And we report this information not to provide some sort of chess piece move in some rhetorical game against opponents regarding collectivism. We're talking about real moral consequences here of the state dictating an economy. These are real people who are suffering, and these are people who unfortunately have already suffered massive price inflation at the hands of their inflated monetary system. They have already suffered lack of food, a destruction of their oil economy, and all of this because of collectivization by the state that began with Hugo Chavez and continues under President Nicolas Maduro. But do you think we're going to hear anything about this? Any apologies or lessons learned from any of the pop media figures who praised Hugo Chavez and praised the collectivism in Venezuela? Do you think Sean Penn will come out and say, I learned my lesson? Collectivism doesn't work. It doesn't allow for the price system to operate. It doesn't allow private property owners to compete with each other to provide things for customers, including health care at lower and lower prices. It doesn't incentivize better work and better living standards. Do you think he'll apologize about that and say he learned his lesson on economics and that there is a real moral component to this? I don't think so.
I found him very fascinating guy. He's done the moment incredible things for the 80% of the people that are very poor there.
Do you think Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who praises socialism left and right, will invite some of the people who are starving from Venezuela to join him in his new lakefront home? I don't think so.
Let me take this opportunity to define for you, simply and straightforwardly, what democratic socialism means to me.
Do you think he'll retract his statements praising Hugo Chavez's collectivism many years ago? I doubt it. Do you think that Member of Parliament in England from Ireland, Jeremy Corbyn, who has praised Hugo Chavez, will come out and say, I learned my lesson, and I know that collectivist health care is a bad idea?
Chavez strode the world, spoke up for the Palestinians, spoke up for the poor around the world, and in inspiration to all of us fighting back against austerity and neoliberal economics in Europe, showed us there is a different and a better way of doing things. It's called socialism. We in the alternative media have actually reported on the results of collectivism, and we are going to continue to report on these things. We have reported on Nicolas Maduro spending $65,000, that's 650,000 bolivars in their currency, on baking a state party cake. We have reported on the orders that the government of Maduro has given to people to be forcibly farming on land, despite the fact that they're not going to get anything out of it. We have reported on all these things because they are moral issues. And economics is, in its essence, a moral story. It's the story about how people take care of their lives within a world of limited resources, how people treat each other with respect, and they end up helping their lives by serving each other through a free market. Those lessons won't be learned by the collectivists, and you're certainly not going to hear very much about this in the pop media. But thank goodness we have alternatives.
So keep tuned here to MRC TV. Make sure you like and subscribe and spread the word about things like this, because these essential lessons are not going to be taught in the pop media. We're going to be doing it ourselves. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.